In Bitcoin's early years, exchanges held every customer's coins in a single hot wallet on a single server behind a single set of keys. Then they got hacked, and the customers lost everything. A hot wallet is simply a wallet whose keys live online, ready to sign transactions. That convenience became a catastrophe. Here's the counterintuitive part. These weren't careless amateurs. They applied the standard, respected security architecture used by banks worldwide, a fortress wrapped around a vault. The twist, that familiar model, is exactly what makes a Bitcoin app fragile. Trust placed in the wrong foundation is worse than no security at all, because it gives you false confidence. To understand why this keeps happening, we need to talk about where security systems place their trust. Every secure system has a root of trust, the one component everything else depends on. Choose it wrong, and the whole structure inherits its weakness. Bitcoin security rests on two decentralized pillars. First, decentralized control over keys. Users hold their own private keys, so no single party can move their coins. Second, independent validation. Every user runs software that checks the rules for themselves rather than trusting someone else to validate transactions. Consensus is the mechanism by which all these independent validators agree on one shared history. These two pillars are what make Bitcoin resistant to theft and censorship. The moment you build an app that takes keys away from users or that outsources validation to a server, you've stepped outside both pillars. You're no longer protected by Bitcoin's security model. You're protected by yours, and yours is much smaller. Picture the traditional root of trust as an onion. At the very center sits a small trusted core, often hardware, the least complex piece. Wrapped around it, layer by layer, sit the operating system, higher-level services, and the networked servers. Each layer adds a security primitive, access control here, digital signatures there, encryption further out. Trust extends outward from the center, and it diminishes as it goes. The core is trusted absolutely. The outer layers are trusted less and verified more. This design is elegant for one reason. Architects want the thing they trust most to be the thing least likely to fail, so they shrink the core down to the simplest component they can. Why keep the core small? Because more complexity means more bugs, and more bugs mean more vulnerability. A tiny, simple component has less surface area for an attacker. So traditional architects place the most trust in the simplest, least vulnerable thing, then build outward from there. That logic is sound within its world, but it has a hidden assumption that the core lives under your control, on your hardware, in your building. Bitcoin offers a different root of trust entirely, and that one assumption changes everything about how you should build. Bitcoin's root of trust isn't a chip in a server. It's the validated blockchain itself. It's anchored at the Genesis block, the very first block, hard-coded into the software. From there, every following block is independently validated, building an unbroken chain of trust all the way up to the current block. You don't trust a company to tell you this history is correct. Your own node verifies it, block by block, signature by signature. And this chain isn't kept on one machine. It's replicated across thousands of decentralized nodes that reach consensus together. There's no central server to seize, bribe, or hack. So Bitcoin gives you a different foundation entirely. The question is, are you actually building on it? Here's the trap. Centralized architectures feel familiar and safe. Developers reach for them by instinct. But adopting one leaves you two options, both bad. Option A, you recreate the fragile bank model plagued by theft and corruption, the exact thing Bitcoin was built to escape. Option B, you match bank-level security through massive investment in operational security and audits, just to break even on safety you could have inherited for free. Some say centralized security is fine if you build it well enough. But building it well enough only recreates the traditional model with all its weaknesses, and you forfeit Bitcoin's unique strengths entirely. Here's the tool to find misplaced trust, the compromise thought experiment. Take each component of your app one at a time. Imagine it fully controlled by an attacker. Then ask, is my app still secure? Start with the hot wallet. If an attacker controls it, can they steal funds? Yes. App insecure. Trust was misplaced there. The database, the server, the encryption key run each through the same test. If any one of them, compromised alone, breaks your app, you found a single point of failure, a component whose failure takes down the whole system. Now test the blockchain. Imagine consensus itself compromised. Only then does a well-built app fail. That's the goal state. A truly secure Bitcoin app is vulnerable only to a compromise of Bitcoin consensus itself. Trust only what survives the worst case. Let's put the two models side by side. Root of trust, a small core you control versus the validated blockchain. Key control, held by the institution versus held by users. Validation, outsourced to a server versus performed independently. Single point of failure, yes versus no. And the failure mode, the server gets hacked versus consensus itself must break. Notice the misconception hiding in that first model. Holding user keys feels like a convenience feature, but it moves users outside Bitcoin's security model and builds a honeypot, one tempting target holding everyone's funds. Encryption layers don't change where the root of trust lives. This isn't just an architecture tip. It goes to the heart of what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's innovation isn't only digital money. It's a new foundation for trust, one that doesn't require trusting institutions. Developers who understand this build resilient applications, those who don't recreate the exact problems Bitcoin was invented to solve. Return to those early exchange hacks. Their designs fail under even casual scrutiny because they trusted dozens of things outside the blockchain, a server, a database, a single set of keys. Run the thought experiment on any of them, and the app falls. The lasting principle is simple. Make the blockchain your only explicit point of trust, and you inherit the strongest security system ever built for value. Build anywhere else, and you inherit its weakness.